I'm Angie, and I had an idea.
And I'm Kim, and I made her talk about it.
I'm Candace, and I had them do something about it.
I'm Katie, move over guys, and I met Angie on a plane and became the first follower, and together we are
Flair educators. Hi, Flair family.
Oh, hello.
You're probably wondering, how did you come up with teacher styles and why are teacher styles original? And the answer to that is simple. Kim and I were on a plane because all magical things in Flair seem to happen on a plane. And we were noticing that teachers were not being taken seriously as professionals.
People don't take you seriously.
And way too many of our friends, and even ourselves, were wondering if education was the right fit for us. And overwhelmingly, we discovered that the biggest problem in education is that people don't listen to teachers.
They won't listen. They never listen.
I think that the biggest issue is that teachers, we go through all this education, all have bachelor degrees, but many masters, and we are professionals, but we don't get treated like professionals.
Amateur or professional?
Professional.
I saw this meme where the teacher was like, they want me to carry guns, but they don't trust me to check out a book to a student, and they want to like decide what books are in my classroom. So there's this really mixed messaging with teaching about what we're supposed to be in charge of, what they trust us with, and what they don't trust us with. I thought that was really powerful.
And I think that's what I would add to that is there are so many mixed messages. The hardest thing about education right now is it's do this, but do also do this, but do that, and you can't do them all at the same time.
Do it. Do it all.
Well, I'm doing everything I can.
And what involves when you're teaching, how much as a teacher the actual teaching part is not focused on. It's so many other things that take away from why I came into the profession.
Let's just list them. We're supposed to be teaching social emotional learning, which is like manners and emotional connection and check-ins with kids for depression and despondency, and teaching them social mores.
Socialize.
Because we're post-pandemic, we're teaching them how to behave in the classroom. Things that normally the students would already know and be able to handle. Simple behaviors and social cues on how to talk to each other, how not to interrupt, how to be good listeners. Like, it's really, really hard for them to listen, actively be engaged and be actively listening.
I don't think anyone's listening anymore.
Just your basic skills. And we're not talking about our academics. We're not talking about math, science, reading, language arts. We're not even there yet.
And when we are there, we're talking about huge standards. If you look at the history standards, in one standard you will hear something like, explore the geographic, economic, political, and moral or ethical implications of westward expansion. And that's supposed to be a 2-week unit in 8th grade. Like, just if you had every second to like dedicate just to that standard, even getting them to understand economic, the economic buy-in alone would take all of your time.
I don't know if we'll have enough time.
And the absences thereof. If you have anyone missing and having to go back and individually, which we do anyways, all individualized, but it's so difficult to say, okay, I have to cover this much, I have to do all these things, but you're going to be out, or you were out 3 times, and so now I need to see what you missed, and it's hard to keep that going.
You know, that's a peeve of mine. My brain's going crazy. There's so many things I want to say, but our classrooms do feel like a revolving door lately between the absences and the interruptions, the long absences, not just 1 or 2 days. I have students who show up maybe twice a week or 3 times a week on a regular basis.
That's not enough.
And you're given the curriculum, you're given a timeline, and we're not even talking about all the learning gaps the students have. Like, so for me in math, I have students at a 1st grade math level and a 7th grade math level, and I have limited time to go over 6th grade level material. How do you do that on that timeline? How do you meet those students' needs? Those are real problems.
And They require, like in history, they're taking time, like at my district, they're asking me to give I ready minutes.
Time.
Not to mention assemblies that might be taken or panorama surveys. So there are all these other encroachments on our academic time, while at the same time they're expecting our students to jump on standardized tests. But I'm not teaching them the curriculum that they need to jump on the standardized test if they're doing social emotional learning, for example, or if they're working on, like, one of the big pushes at one of my districts, we used to have to spend hours every single week teaching them digital citizenship and how to be responsible with their digital footprint and technologically online. And that took so much extra time that wasn't budgeted in our curriculum.
Don't say that. We don't have time for that, okay?
Fights have increased. That social emotional piece and behavior piece of just people being around each other. They've been most of these students are in prime development of their brains, and they've been isolated. And now think about when you were in middle school and elementary school and you were with these people all the time. Now you've had 2 to 3 years off, and now you're still going through all of those hormonal changes. You're still trying to learn. We're still trying to do academics, and now I'm going to bump into you in the hallway, and kids don't know how to respond or react to those normal interactions that used to be all the time because they haven't been around them. So that's huge, and all the time that takes to teach to that.
They need so much, and
So much more.
And accountability is getting really weird. So now we have kids schools, our poor admin aren't able to suspend on an equity basis necessarily. And so we have kids who are committing increasingly egregious offenses that are being left in our population, and as they literally are traumatizing teachers and other students. In some cases they're not even getting suspended, they're just getting detention or moved to a special learning environment, and they're still on that campus, which then stirs up all the other kids to ask, why are they still there? Or if I do that, it's not that big of a problem, which causes a spiral of behaviors to keep increasing and increasing and increasing.
It's the equitable piece of, well, if they can do that, well, I can do this. And that's something we see, I mean, in our country right now, is the lack of consequences, if you will. And
Behaviors escalating because of it.
And we see that from very small all the way up.
it's escalating quickly.
What else can they do?
And in a lot of respects, I mean, we are limited because of laws in different states. It varies from state to state on what you can or can't do, what you can and cannot suspend for.
Our hands are tied.
It's hard.
We have a lot to deal with,
But just focus on reading.
No, just focus on emotions.
Oh, wait, sorry, my bad.
No, just focus on no, so that's the point. And everybody's looking at us, and we feel that. And everybody's wondering what to do. And here's what Kim and I came up with that we're going to tell you as we move to the next section. We can complain all day, but the truth is, no one else is going to show up for these kids. Nobody else is going to do our job. If we quit, nobody's going to come in and pick up the pieces. Nobody's going to brave these very difficult, and I call them, because I'm a history teacher, battles. We fight and we win for a better tomorrow, or we surrender and wimp out and pay the consequences. And I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to quit on these kids when they need me most. I'm not willing to just complain and not have a solution. And so that's why we created Flair. Not because we don't get it, because guess what? We could get in the trenches with the best.
We get
why
it.
Teaching is hard, but we have a solution. We have to fix this. I don't mean admin, because they can't. I don't mean legislators, because they don't care. Legislators are too excited to blame us and too weak to make good laws. And hopefully we're calling you out, legislators. It's time for you to actually care. Stop saying it's about mental health and not passing laws that give us the support for mental health. Stop spending more on prisoners than you do on students. Roll up your sleeves and work as hard as we do. And until you do, we are going to keep working. We're going to keep changing the world, and anybody who's watching this is going to help us out.
You're part of the problem or part of the solution, and we like to think that we're part of the solution because, like you said, we can do it all. But another thing that you taught me actually on a plane when we met,
It's all the planes soaring.
soaring above all of the problems, is that so many people making decisions about our schools have not been in our schools since 2020. And if you haven't been in the classroom experiencing what it has been like the last 3 years, it's like nothing that I have experienced in the last 20 years of my career.
Can't understand.
really can't.
And so to be told from an administrator or a legislator or anyone with a higher pay grade than myself what to do in my classroom when they haven't been living it is really, really tough. So we're gonna do something about it.
I'm gonna do something.
I was just gonna say, I wanna really come full circle to, we really need admin support and district support. We need them listening to us. We're the final producer. We're the ones who are delivering their education, and we need admin and district to listen to our wants, our needs, our ideas, so that we can do our best for our students.
And I think we need legislators to listen to our admin so that they can pass laws so our admins can protect us.
And protect the other students in class. I feel victim so often, right, in the class.
It's not safe! It's not safe!
And if you really care, we're asking that you actually listen to us. And that you ask us what the problems are for our individual classrooms and our individual students, and you help support us, not with this quick text fix or some new program that's mandated that takes more of our time, but something that fills us up so we have this spark to light our students and keep that spark going. All right, so we're doing section 2 of our video explaining why we came up with Flair styles and why they matter, and the issue was getting to the root of the problem. In section 1, you saw me talk with Katie and, well, it was Kim and Katie at the time, but you saw me talk with Katie and Kim, and now in section 2, we're going to talk with Katie and Candace, and I'm Angie, and we want to just keep kind of guiding us through the process of how we came up with teacher styles and why they really are the answer. But first, let's get to the root of the problem.
This is the root of all our problems.
We have seen so much more burnout since 2020. In our school site, last year we had 19 teachers new to our site. It was really crazy. 13 of those were brand new teachers first year.
And a staff of 40, right? So
and
half.
a staff of 40. So nearly half were brand new teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that in classrooms. We also see that with administrators. They're burning out too. But in addition to that, we're seeing increased suicide among teachers and administrators. There was that a couple months ago, the administrator committed suicide on campus.
There's actually been 2 in California within this year in 2023. We've had 2 vice principals at different high schools, one at a high school, one at a middle school, actually commit suicide on the campus. And so one of the issues with teacher burnout, if we're not careful in the way we handle it, is we're actually seeing that our administrators who are feeling helpless to protect us, who are some of our most sympathetic, best people, are feeling that tug, and they're here for the right reasons too. And most of them, they care about kids too, and they want to make a difference too. And the laws, restrict them, and the pressure from parents, and then the dissatisfaction from teachers gets dumped on them until their plates become too heavy also. And that's a big reason why we created Flair, because our purpose is not to create a hostile environment. That doesn't help our kids. It doesn't help our kids if our teachers are angry. It doesn't help our kids if our teachers and admin don't get along. The purpose is to make a community where we're healthy. We're all experiencing job creep. Job creep is not just happening to teachers. Admin are having more and more duties dumped on them as well. Their expectations are getting higher and higher, and more parents are becoming hostile, not just to us on social media. We've been watching parents use social media to go after our principals and vice principals for just doing the right thing. And when they protect us or have our back, they pay a huge consequence sometimes in society. And so I think that's something we really have to acknowledge when we look at why this is getting so bad.
Well, I think coming out of the pandemic has really changed a lot too, because going in pre-2020, boundaries were there, but because of social media, they crossed over a little bit. But since 2020, we as educators and students dialing in, we were on call 24/7. There wasn't office hours. There wasn't, I teach from this time to this time. I was always available because we had to be, and there wasn't a precedent before that of what was supposed to be. And that's what I hear a lot from the law side of things is, well, we don't have a precedent for this, so we're creating one. And now coming out of the pandemic, part of recognizing that is there's a precedent now. And coming out of this, there isn't a precedent either. We have to create and figure out why these things are happening and stop saying they're happening. Yes, we know school shootings are happening. We know violence is increased. We know accountability is decreased across the country. We know that. It's on the news. You see it. We see it.
We live it.
Now what? So the analogy I was going to use when we started the second round is the imagery of, and I can't give credit to the person because I'm not sure who gave it, but I've seen the image of, we acknowledge if you see a river and people falling into this river and drowning, and everybody's like, yep, look at them go. There's another one drowning. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. And it's just, there they go. Well, why is this happening? Why is this happening? But no one's doing anything about it. With Flair, we're walking upstream and we're trying to take the direction and the focus and the energy to identify the root of the problem, because maybe there's not a sidewalk upstream and they tripped. Maybe we don't know. Maybe people aren't getting the mental health they need before it wasn't addressed. There are
well, we know that's happening.
We know. Yeah. Let me see on maybe. There's a plethora of reasons. We know why.
We know the reasons too.
But as we go up that, we can't save all of them everyone from falling in when it's just the two of us or the three of us or the five of us. That's why we need the Flair community, and we need it to grow, because that's how we're going to help change the narrative.
And Candace, I want you to jump in with your research, because I think that our admin tried to go upstream with professional development. And I think actually legislators tried to put money into professional development, but unfortunately they didn't read the research, which is
that professional development, in the way that we've been doing it for all the years I've been teaching, which is like whole group, everybody's going to learn the same concept and you're all going to do it in your classrooms. What happens is teachers don't. They don't. It's just another thing added to their plate. And what is actually more useful is one-on-one coaching, giving them time to collaborate with the team and use what is given to them in maybe a mini PD or something in a smaller form, and then they have time to actually implement it and actually plan for it.
And when we're talking about one-on-one coaching, it really just means teachers working with teachers to find solutions. So the research is really clear. It says, don't tell teachers this is the solution. In fact, the truth is, admin don't know the solution. These are complex problems. Honor teachers as professionals and give them the time to come up with solutions, and then be willing to listen. Chances are they're going to find a lot of the same solutions that the admin wanted them to find, but now they have buy-in and they care about the process. And so that's what Flair does, is it honors that.
And another thing.
Big root of the problem is that teacher induction programs are horrible. They're absolutely ridiculous. We have 19 brand new teachers on campus, and then they're randomly assigned to whatever teacher is deemed best for them, without considering the teacher's style, personality, interpretation. And you match a beginning teacher with the wrong quote-unquote experienced teacher, and you can actually increase that teacher's chance of leaving the profession.
And I've seen it as a coach on my campus, where teachers, everybody wants to give advice and everybody wants to help, but I have brand new teachers who are one specific style, who are getting advice from a teacher who's completely different, and then it just stresses them out and it confuses them, and then they start to think that they're not effective because they can't do what this veteran teacher recommended. It didn't work in their classroom.
That doesn't mean they're a failure. They're just a different style.
They're just a different style.
It's not acknowledged. It's here's the check the box. You've been inducted. Welcome. Check the box. Good luck. And that doesn't work. It's proven. It's researched. It doesn't work. And we have to change that.
And so simply start with this, something that works. Find out what style your teachers are, or teachers find out what style you are, and pair yourself with a similar style to learn. And then as you become intermediate and advanced teachers, challenge yourself to learn from different styles.
Diversifying, smart.
And not compare.
I
think that's what I see most too, is there's you can do it, and then there's that punishment for you. Well, you did it well, why can't you do it too? But to honor everyone's strengths and their process or not the process, the journey that they're on and where they are in that journey, like in any other profession. For some reason, education is so different, like we talked about earlier, and I don't know why.
I honor your journeys, guys.
I've been able to use Flair with some of the teachers that I'm working with. And it's been really eye-opening because I'll have them take our quiz and they can identify what type of teacher they are, and it helps me know exactly what's going to work in their classroom. And so I can skip a lot of that trying things out, see what works, and I can say, I think this is going to work with your type, let's try it. And it's a lot easier to just get to the basics that are going to help them in the classroom.
And help them feel successful and proud of who they are instead of compared and defeated, right?
And not in survival mode anymore. Like
Right?
just being empowered to go, oh, actually, I do know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just was doing it a different way, and honoring that, I think, is huge.
I'm so glad I'm doing it right.
Yeah, and to be able to say to them, I know this isn't going to work with your style, but with this other teacher, we're going to try it. And with you, I want to go this different direction. And I can just see them relax when I say that to them.
Because they know they can do it. They can see themselves doing it. And they feel heard and seen and listened to and appreciated. Because anybody who's showing up in the classroom right now deserves to be appreciated, deserves to be honored, deserves, I'm sorry, but teaching right now, especially special education teachers, and middle school teachers, we really need to take time to honor what it means that they show up every day and try their best every day.
So we found that knowing your style is really what makes all the difference.
Well, knowing who you are as an individual, not just as a teacher. For years, I've worked on a True Colors profile that has a ton of research behind it as well, going back to the 90s, and it's knowing your strengths, but knowing other people's strengths and being able to match those. Because my strengths, I definitely have weaknesses, but the things that I really struggle with, you're really strong with. Why would we not use that to our advantage and work together to be able to change things and make a difference? But it has to start with us. The change has to start within us, and not just that's a problem, and that's a problem, and that's a problem, and that's a problem, and that's a problem.
Too particular, that's your problem.
So your problem is you're thinking too much.
Now relax, okay? Be calm, you're too hyper.
Not your problem, you're too nice.
Because you care too much.
Your problem, blah, blah, blah. To know our styles and to work together and to know our true colors is we need to look within ourselves and know what we believe and how. I think that's where the struggle is right now, is as a veteran teacher, until I found out my own style, I was trying to be too many things because I was trying to fit the description of what my admin wanted and the description of what my teacher I was mentoring needed, and we wore too many hats, and I had different styles that I was wearing all the time.
That's kind of what happens.
Yeah.
It's about being authentic and being who you are. That's what makes all the styles so great.
And embracing them.
And students need the different styles. And we need to, you can't be comfortable trying to be someone else's style. You are who you are. We can learn and we can adapt. And that's what's so great, is that we can now collaborate and share information. But first you have to be comfortable with who you are as a teacher. And when we were talking earlier about the induction program and pairing new teachers with veteran teachers, if they're not the same style, it's going to be very uncomfortable and very difficult for the new teacher to feel good about themselves, to feel good about what they're doing, and to get the engagement that they need from their students. So knowing your style builds your self-esteem, helps lower your stress levels, lets you become more efficient and more effective.
Talking about accepting who you are.
But I think understanding your style, and not necessarily you have to be the same or you need to be paired with someone, but understanding that every teacher is different and everyone has their weaknesses and their strengths, and then working together to value that, to show that you are a great teacher.
I think weaknesses are often viewed from other people as misconceptions of those people. for someone who is a power dresser versus someone who's a hippie. They have very different styles. And if we know each other's styles and what makes us own our own flair, it helps us to go, well, why aren't you doing this that this style does? Well, because that's not their style, but they're still great teachers.
Right.
And empowering that discussion, where, as you brought up with the induction program and the mentoring, I'm finding that since I joined Flair, it has to be more of the team approach, not just the mentor either, because if the mentor is a different style, then this works for me, but it may not work for you. And as some of my teachers I've been mentoring, okay, well then what works for me? I don't know what that is. And to own that there's a reason you went to school for this. There's a reason you have a degree and that you are a professional. Trust your gut, your training, your instinct, your all the things you did to go to school to do this. That wasn't just a hunch and because you felt like going. You had to learn some intense things. We've all gone through years to perfect our trade in any business. When you go to school and you earn a craft, you are a professional and are treated as such. And we need to have that own type. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
And every type, at the heart of every type, is that we all, every single type of teacher, want the student to be successful. But we just do it in different ways. We just approach that differently.
And how awesome is that?
That's amazing.
The world would be so boring if we all looked and dressed the same. Why are we trying to teach the same in that same philosophy?
You know, understanding your flair or your teacher's style, it's given me a freedom. It's given me a freedom to be who I need to be and be the best version of me. I've given myself permission to do that. And that's empowering, and makes teaching a lot more fun, and I'm a lot more accepting of myself and trying new things.
Flair. They gave me flair.
I think we see that in our students' eyes too, where when we're empowered and feel more confident about our skill set, the students see that, and everyone sees that. But this shift the last few years, we've just had to be everything all the time to everyone. And all of us, I think that's where the burnout's happening, is that we're wearing so many different styles because that's what had to be done, that we need to pause and really take a second to think about our why and why our individual style is important and empower us. And therefore, that's what we tell our students. So we need to empower ourselves so they can see that, and we lead by that example.
So we promised you a solution, and the solution is teachers, we are it. No one's coming to rescue us. No great laws are going to save us, or maybe, if you're out there, senators, help.
Please.
But until they actually care enough about us to fund education like they do the prisons, you know, until they actually decide to put mental health professionals on our campuses and give us the support we need, I'm not going to quit fighting.
I'm not.
I'm in for the long haul.
But you never stop fighting.
So we're asking you to join our efforts. Help us. Please help. I mean, we're here because you care about kids as much as we do. We want you to take the quiz. We want you to find out if the style fits you. We want your feedback. We want to know what works in the classroom and what you love, and we want you to share that with the community, because there's a lot of people talking about leaving and burning out and what's bad about education, and we'd like to share what's good.
Lots of good stuff there.
So if you like what we're doing and you want to be a part of it, please like and subscribe, take our quiz, find out what style you are, share with us,
and join our community.
And change the world together.
Hi, I'm Kim.
And I'm Candace.
Yes.
Katie here.
Let's try